If you're moving to Denver in 2026 and trying to figure out what are the smartest areas in town to buy a home, well, I've got good news. This video is made for you. Because let's face it, not all Denver neighborhoods are the same. Because one mistake I still see buyers make every single day is just assuming that because one area is really getting a lot of popularity and hype, that doesn't mean that that's the best and smartest area to be considering for the long term. And let's face it, some areas right now are feeling very flat, and others seem like they're completely thriving. So in this video today, I want to cut through that noise and just share with you guys 4 Denver neighborhoods that I personally think have some of the strongest upside continuing into 2026 and into the next 5 or 10 years to come. There's a lot that goes into this, things like strong appreciation, buyer demand, lifestyle appeal, and just the future growth of those areas. This isn't me just naming some of the most popular neighborhoods in Denver. These are the areas that I would genuinely be personally paying close attention to if I was buying right now in Denver, Colorado. Before we jump into it, guys, as always, my name's Adam. All that info down below. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, but I just want to get right into it on this video. And before we jump into this video, one last thing to mention. The reason why this conversation matters now, I think more than ever, is because the Denver market really has shifted dramatically in the last few months. In fact, I just saw a news article this past week saying that Denver homes right now have seen the sharpest decline in value of anywhere in the entire country. Denver is right now #1 for the largest decline. It was 2.2% in February going into March, and that led the nation. And to take it a step further, Denver right now has actually over 8,000 active listings in the Denver metro area. So what that means is buyers have a lot more options right now. Homes are taking a little bit longer to sell, and we're just no longer in this crazy market where homes are flying off the shelves. With all this extra inventory, buyers are also able to be a little bit more selective, which means that the location matters now more than ever. So again, the 4 that I'm gonna share with you guys are really important to put on your radar if you are considering coming out here to the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. All right, guys, so let's just jump right into the first of these 4 neighborhoods. And this one is really kind of hitting close to home. And that's because I actually lived in this area for the majority of my childhood. And what we're talking about here is the western side of Wheat Ridge, along with Applewood and a little bit of the fringe of Golden. The reason I think this is such an important area to keep on your radar is because this western edge of town offers so much when it comes to lifestyle and location. Now, in addition to Wheat Ridge, Applewood, part of Paramount Heights is another neighborhood, as well as that eastern end of Golden, that fringe on the eastern side. This area has really become one of the places that when I take out a buyer to see some of this part of Denver, as soon as I take them there once, you know what they always tell me? They say, Adam, now I get it. And I agree with them because there is something very unique and just special about the Applewood and western side of Wheat Ridge. And man, this is going to continue to be a really popular area for many years to come. Now, when it comes to location, I think there's a few ways to look at this, but one of them is because you can be so close to so many areas within Denver in only minutes. Downtown Denver is only about a 15 to 20 minute drive, as well as even getting out into the mountains. You're basically closer than anywhere else you could be in the entire Denver metro area. You have a jump start on pretty much every other person living in the city when you live on this western fringe of the metro Denver area. A few other things I love about this part of Denver is it's more mature. When I say mature, I mean beautiful, older, mature trees, bigger lots. A lot of them are ranch styles, which continue to be the most popular for resale value. You guys, just a quick little side note, whenever you're looking at homes, ranch styles are always the most desirable from a resale perspective, and that's because they really fit the largest pool of buyers. When people start to get a little bit older in age, they really like to prioritize a ranch style home. And in this Applewood area and also that western Wheat Ridge, you really do see a lot of these, which is great. The homes also have a lot of character. They don't feel like a cookie cutter neighborhood like some of the other larger master plan communities around Denver. And it really just gives residents this Colorado feel, like you really are living in Colorado, the mountains right out your back door, but without the heavy price tag of some of the neighboring areas like Golden. And just to continue a little bit further on that point, a lot of people that are relocating to Colorado, places like Texas, California, areas on the East Coast, a lot of relocation buyers are coming out here because they want that lifestyle. They want that ability to really feel like they're living in Colorado. And man, guys, I'm telling you, there is not a better place in the Denver area where you have that perfect balance, where you live a little bit up in the foothills. You've got some, diversity with the environment. You're not just in a flat part of the city, and you just are so close to all that the, Western Slope has to offer. And if you guys are considering coming out here and you really want to get involved with this hobbies, activities, outdoor recreation, mountain biking, skiing, hiking, whatever it may be, when you live on this western side of town, you're not gonna realize this until you get out here, but I'm telling you, it makes a difference. You're so much closer, and because of that, it just gives you the ability to go up, even on afternoons after work, or maybe on a weekend, just getting that extra head start above all the other busyness, all the other traffic, all the stuff that's gonna be probably following closely behind you, but you have that ability to get a jump start on them and just make it a lot more pleasant of an experience. Now, in addition to checking off some of the boxes when it comes to location and that lifestyle, I also just want to make a quick point about pricing. Now, Wheat Ridge, it's still hovering in that low $600,000 median home price, which really does create a pretty attractive gap when comparing that to areas like Golden. So you really are able to still be in that same area, that same vicinity, but at a significantly lower price point than, again, areas like Golden. So really a win-win in that regard, but also with Wheat Ridge on that western side, there are a lot of homes that have some fixer-upper potential, some value add. What I love is areas that at least have this as an option for buyers, because not everybody wants to get their hands dirty and buy a project home. But when you're maybe approaching the top end of your budget, man, there are so many opportunities to get into homes that still have a lot of great features, but maybe just need some updating. Maybe a new kitchen, maybe it's just changing a little bit of the layout out to make it a little bit more of an open feel. A lot of this is very doable, and it can be done over the next few years after buying the home, especially if you are a little bit on a tight budget at first. So a lot of options when it comes to this type of home in that Applewood and Wheat Ridge vicinity. Now, if there's specific pockets of homes that you're considering maybe in this area, a few that I want to share with you guys that I think are some of the best, and then some of these are actually really close to where I used to grow up. Check out areas around Crown Hill. That's a really up and coming area. Also around Paramount Park, and then also Applewood Knolls. Applewood Knolls is a really fun, kind of a unique area to check out. And one last thing before moving on, if you guys already are here in Colorado and in Denver, just to get a feel for what I'm talking about here, take a drive down 38th Avenue. You could start off around the Wadsworth intersection and just see how much that whole area has improved over the last few years. Lots of new mixed-use retail being put up, just a really nice shopping center that just got finished a couple years ago. And if you continue further west on 38th, eventually you're gonna hit Youngfield. And at Youngfield in 38th, that's right across from where the brand new Lutheran Hospital development just got finished being built. And there are a ton of really cool things going on over there now too. Lots of development happens when a big new anchor, like a new hospital, gets put in. So a lot of exciting stuff going on in this Applewood area. So I can't tell you guys enough just how much I love this part of Denver, and that's why I put it as #1 here of these top 4 neighborhoods. Okay, so before we jump into the second neighborhood, I'd also just like to share really quick, guys, all that info down below. Feel free to reach out. I'm serious about it. I love to connect with you guys. Even if you're not serious right now, I love to still the opportunity just to learn a little bit more about you, and I guarantee there's a few ways that I can provide value. And if you guys have any kiddos, I just published my first children's book. It's all about real estate, entrepreneurship. I'd love to send you guys a free copy. I'm gonna put the link down below. Just go to adamshillsdenver.com/book, and I'll send you guys a hard copy if you'd like one, or you can just download the digital one. But let's just talk now about the second neighborhood. And this one is really good for anybody that maybe is a family type buyer. Not just only for this type of buyer, but I feel like it really works well with a family, kind of a migration buyer. Now, this area is completely opposite from where Applewood is located. This is gonna be Southeast Aurora, and especially the neighborhood of Southshore. Now, not just Southshore, we also have Saddle Rock, we have Talon's Reach, other areas all around here, but this is basically just the Southeast Aurora part of the Metro Denver area. Now, a lot of relocation buyers just don't really put this area on their list or on their map, but it definitely ranks very high once I take people out in person to see this part of Denver. For one, it's really close to Aurora Reservoir, which is really fun in the summertime, lots of activities to do out there. And if you guys don't know, Denver does not have a ton of water. We have very few reservoirs, and Aurora Reservoir is really one of the best. We also have Cherry Creek and Chatfield, but Aurora Reservoir is really easily accessible when you live in the southeastern side of Denver. Now, some of the buyers that might be interested in the Southshore area, the southeastern part of Aurora, they're also going to be looking in some of the neighboring areas a little bit to the west of here, areas like Lone Tree, Parker, Highlands Ranch. So there's some other areas outside of just Southshore, but I really wanted to focus on Southshore because I actually helped some good friends of mine and some clients sell their home in Southshore last year, and just being over there a bunch, man, it really reminded me how cool and just special of an area this is. Now, one of the reasons a lot of people do choose this area is because you do have your dollar go a bit further. You know, you get a little bit more square footage, a little bit newer of a home, oftentimes maybe a little bit larger of a lot, depending on if you are or are not in a master plan community. Oftentimes the master plan communities have a little bit, more condensed, smaller lot sizes, but there are still some options over in this side of town. You can still find a little bit larger lot sizes. A lot of buyers right now are really focused on certain aspects of the house, things like open layouts, big kitchens, entertaining spaces. Southshore did a great job with really identifying some of these buyer interests and building homes that really fit that. So if these are the type of things in a home that you really value, I think this could be a really smart place to consider. Another reason on top of all this, though, is because of the school district. So not all of Aurora, but a lot of it is actually in the Cherry Creek School District, which is always ranked at the top of the list. And take it even a step further, check out on niche.com, Cherry Creek School Districts. That's what a lot of the homes in Southshore and Southeast Aurora are located in. They're always at the top. Really good education system, incredible athletic programs. It's a really good program, especially if you do maybe have kiddos that you want to get started in one of the more, I think higher rated programs in all of Colorado. Now, in addition to that aspect, also, regardless if you're a family or maybe just a single person, this applies to everybody, is the amenities. So when you have an area like Southshore, as well as Talon's Reach and some of these other southeastern Denver areas, you have great amenities. So in Southshore, for example, multiple really high-end clubhouses. One of them even has a bar, like a tap room, where they have fresh new kegs of beer every other week. You can go in there and have up to 2 free pints a day, just unique stuff like that, as well as private ponds for fishing and paddleboarding, all kinds of open spaces and trails. If this type of stuff is really important to you guys, and I don't blame you, I love that aspect of where I live right now in a different part of Denver, but similar with the amenities. It's something that maybe if you haven't experienced it before, you might take for granted or not think that you're gonna really take advantage and utilize as much as you might think. So definitely look into that too. Now, another aspect of the location that's really beneficial for a lot of people is its location when it comes to what it's near. So it's really close to Buckley Air Force Base, Anschutz, and it has this DIA corridor where we can actually take E470 for a lot more quick, easy route to the airport if you guys travel a lot for work. If you haven't been out here before and had to deal with, just the commuting traffic to the airport from different parts of Denver on I-25 or I-70, it can really get bogged down. And what's really cool is when you live over in this Southshore, Southeast Aurora, you have a different way on E470 that you can take that really eliminates a lot of that and just makes it a lot more pleasant of an experience, again, if you travel a lot for work. So just to kind of wrap up this second area that I think is really smart in 2026 and beyond, I look at it as an area that has a lot of potential, not just today, but into the future. This long-term family demand is really pushing this direction, this side of Denver. And Aurora is still giving a lot of buyers the opportunity to get larger, newer homes with a lot of the features and amenities that they really value, but at a price point that's a little bit more affordable for some compared with other areas, again, like Golden, Applewood, areas that are more on that western side of town. And let's face it, guys, right now, affordability is tough. A lot of people are really trying to make their dollar stretch further. And for those buyers, this can be a really big selling point for Aurora, just again, because your dollar does go a bit further. Okay, so with that, let's just move right now into the third area that I think is really smart for buyers, and that's actually gonna be also on the southern side of Denver, but instead of southeast, now we're going southwest. And we're going to the area that I live in. So I live in Grant Ranch, which is one of the larger master plan communities in Denver. But on this specific point today, I want to talk a little bit more about some other areas that are really close to here. And a lot of these areas really aren't as well known, and you might not even really be hearing about them much if you're watching a lot of other videos on YouTube. I'm talking about places like Harvey Park, Marston, parts of southwestern Lakewood, and again, areas also like where I'm in Grant Ranch. The reason I wanted to put this one on the list today is because it's one of the few suburbs and just areas around Denver that still have a few things going for it that are becoming harder and harder to find. And some of these things that I'm talking about oftentimes come with a very steep premium, but in this southwestern side of Denver, you can still oftentimes find them, and I think some really good values. We're talking things again like mature trees and landscaping, a lot more mature just neighborhoods in general, more of these older ranch style homes, kind of similar to that Applewood area that I shared with you guys at first. Also pretty good easy foothill access where you are a little bit closer than a lot of other areas within Denver to get up to the mountains. And you have some really good shopping all around this area. Not only do you have the bigger, retail shopping centers like River Point, Belmar, and even a few others within about a 10 to 15 minute drive, you also just have so many of these smaller retail shopping centers where, just as an example, where I live right now in Grant Ranch, my girlfriend and I were talking about this yesterday as we had to go to Home Depot. Literally within a 5-minute drive, maybe less than that to be honest, but literally a 5-minute drive or less, we have pretty much everything you can think of. Trader Joe's, Home Depot, Lowe's, Whole Foods, 2 or 3 other grocery stores, just everything you can think of, because there's just so much infrastructure already existing in this southwestern side of Denver where all of this can already kind of exist and just be there. So I don't know, it's one of these things you don't really think about at the time, but once you live here, man, you really take it for granted, and man, huge positive in my point of view. Now, some of the same reasons that I really like Applewood exist in this southwestern side of town. A lot of ranch style homes that have fixer-upper and value-add potential. So I already shared what that exactly entailed earlier, but just as a quick recap, these are areas that have opportunities to get the price a little bit lower, especially if the home needs a little bit of renovations in the future. And then you can be able to do that on your own schedule. Maybe buy the home and live in it for a year or two, and it just gives buyers the opportunity to make some of these improvements down the road when they have a little bit of extra money saved up whenever that day does come. And another great example of this would be unfinished basements. So these are often really common in this side of town. And when you have an unfinished basement, this is a great opportunity to kind of sit with it, live with it as it is for a while, but then again, maybe make that a final finished product in the next 3 to 5 years once you have, maybe a growing family and you're ready to expand and finish that basement. So again, really good options when it comes to southwestern Denver. Finding homes like this is becoming harder and harder these days. There aren't as many that are still left unfinished and room for opportunity to do some of these value add projects. So I definitely think the southwestern side of Denver is one of the best when it comes to this. And a lot of that also just comes down to the affordability spread. When Denver metro pricing is sitting, at median home prices in the mid to high $500,000 range, there are still pockets within the southwestern Denver area that are much below that, or at least giving the opportunity to, once they're finished and upgraded, be well above the $700,000-800,000 mark, or even above $1 million in some cases. So lots of opportunity, especially if you're looking not just today, but into the 5 to 10 year future. Like I said earlier, a lot of these neighborhoods, they're not the big Wash Park, Sloan Lake type neighborhoods that you see a lot in the press or just on other YouTube channels, but they are definitely quietly some of the most popular and definitely worth keeping on your radar, guys. So let me know down in the comments below, which of these types of areas you guys are really kind of gravitating towards first. And I'd love to share more specific little pockets that I know about, regardless of which one it is that you guys are most interested in. So let me know. Okay, and then with that, let's just close this one out with the fourth area that I think is also a very smart area to buy. And that's because it's not about what necessarily exists there today. It's about that 5 to 10 year infrastructure expansion into the future that's really gonna put this one on the map. So if you guys are forward thinking and you're really looking out into the future, I think this one is without a doubt one of the best areas to put on your list. And this is gonna be an area that's also to the south of Denver, but it's going to be areas like Sterling Ranch, Lone Tree, and an area called Ridgegate that you probably haven't heard of before. This entire section of South Metro Denver is still actively unfolding, and that means that buyers here, they're not just buying the house that exists today. They're really buying into the future, future retail, future neighborhoods, future schools, future roads, future amenities, just future growth. And this is one of the areas that I think is going to be continuing to expand probably faster than almost anywhere else in Denver. I think a lot of buyers underestimate just how important this actually is because there's so much growth that happens after the main infrastructure gets put into place. So if that might be you looking 5 to 10 years out into the future, this could be a great area. So specifically, for example, with Sterling Ranch, this is an area that I'm seeing a lot of relocation buyers really zero in on. And that's because of the cleaner neighborhoods, more newer homes, more organized community events, tons of trees, more of a family type feel and environment, and there's Chatfield Reservoir nearby, which again is one of the few really popular reservoirs here in the Denver metro area. Some people love master plan communities and others, maybe they don't. But I will say, if if you haven't driven through and just experienced one recently, or some of them that I'm actually sharing with you today, like Grant Ranch, Sterling Ranch, it's at least worth checking them out, because while you do have a few cons or negatives, there also might be some things that you aren't considering that could be huge positives and maybe will swing your decision-making back in the other direction. So I just want to leave you with that. It's at least worth considering and not completely canceling it off of your list unless you do the little bit more in-person, boots on the ground type analysis to see if it really is or is not what you're looking for. All right, guys, with all that being said, hope you got some value out of this one. So if I was personally moving to Denver right now and trying to make a strategic buy, these are the 4 areas that I would be watching the closest. Wheat Ridge and Applewood for that west side location and lifestyle. Southeast Aurora for family value and the newer type communities. Harvey Park, Grant Ranch, some of that southwestern Denver for kind of under the radar opportunities. And Sterling Ranch, Ridgegate, and even parts of Lone Tree for that long-term future just infrastructure growth. Now, are these the only 4 great Denver neighborhoods? Absolutely not. But these are 4 areas that I think are sitting in a really, really interesting sweet spot of buyer demand, value, and just that long-term desirability heading through 2026 and into the future. So if you guys are considering Denver and you're just still unsure on where the best areas might be for what fits your family, your specific needs, again, guys, we'd love to connect with you. Feel free to hit that link down below in the show notes. Schedule a free 30-minute real estate strategy session with me, or if that's too much right now, you can still at least get some of my free guides. All of that is, again, down below. Just go to adamsillsdenver.com. And man, I really look forward to hopefully connecting with you guys in person soon and sharing, again, more and more about why I love this city, why I love living in Denver, why I've been here for over 42 years and don't plan on going anywhere. So hopefully I'll see you guys soon. And until next week, have a great one. And I'll see you on the next episode of Living in Denver.